This program is fan-generated. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your supports are greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov Gang. Tonight, Jihad in Chattanooga. Our guests, Issa Hodge, a Muslim American activist who can be found at wakeupinamerica.com, and Dr. Mark Christian, president of Global Faith Institute, who is a former Islamic imam who converted to Christianity, an act for which he now lives under the personal threat of death. Mark and Issa, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's begin. Mohammed Yusuf Abdulaziz opened fire at a Navy recruitment center and a Marine Reserve Center in Chattanooga, Tennessee recently, murdering 4 Marines and an unarmed sailor. Once again, Obama's statement was full of denial. He did not mention the Islamic State or identify the shootings as a jihad attack, which it was. Issa, let me begin with you. Your thoughts on this shooting? Your thoughts on Abdulaziz sending out a tweet earlier to his friend referring to a hadith. As a Muslim American activist, does this trouble you?
The loss of life of anybody is troubling. But we have this disease that seems to be infecting us, okay? And we seem to be going through this cycles of violence within our country, especially if we look through American history. When it comes to the minority, that is the proverbial boogeyman, the enemy of the state, if you would, whether we go back to the Native Americans, to the African slaves, the Chinese, the Irish during the Civil War, the Japanese during the World War II, Germans and Italians as well. We have this cycle of violence that we go through that has 3 phases in it. And so what we do is we tend to reserve trigger emote words specific for them. Just like you were saying there, this jihad in Chattanooga. As the former imam, I'm sure, will tell you, there are actually 3 forms of jihad. And there are hadiths to show that the violent form of self-defense is one of the lesser of the 3 jihads. Jihad al-nafs, the jihad within self, is worse. The problem is this young man, this horrific act that he did, that is a violation against humanity, against morals within Islam, as well as within Christianity and Judaism and any other religion. This man was a troubled youth who had psychological issues, who was on drugs. These are the same things that we dealt with the shooter in Colorado, the Sandy Hook shooter. But yet with them, and here's the difference, with them, we didn't talk about their faith. We didn't talk about their parents' faith. But with this guy, we do. Why?
Well, Issa, we do talk about it because there are teachings in Islam which appear to motivate these jihadists. So this is our concern. And the Islamic State, the Islamic, just let's not talk about other religions for a minute. Let's not equivocate and obfuscate. We have a problem here that there happen to be Muslims, whether it's the Boston Marathon attack, whether it's Fort Hood where Nidal Hassan screams Allahu Akbar. Now we've got a Muslim who sends out a tweet, a hadith, goes on a rampage. We want to protect life. If there is a problem where Muslims are following the mandate of jihad in their religion, we have to try to protect American life. Now, I'm going to get back.
I agree with that, but all life is sacred, though. Not just American, all life.
Well, the problem is that how do we get to a point where the next Muslim that wants to carry out Surah 9.5 and 9.29 and 47.4, how do we defend ourselves if we're not honest about the fact that these teachings are inspiring certain Muslims and sanctioning them?
I think we defend ourselves the same way we would against an armed robber in a bank. I think that, in this country we have an attack on our Second Amendment. I think that that's something that we should be all defending to the, with our blood, sweat, and tears. I think that that's what we should be doing.
Issa, this attitude of yours is what prevented Nidal Hassan from being fired when he was teaching jihad as lecturing within the American military. We can save lives if we're going to be honest about certain teachings in Islam. I'll get back to you. Mark, go ahead.
Let me start by saying I'm very sorry for you, Issa, that you left the freedom and the and the love of Christ to go to under a false religion of Islam. And as you mentioned, for 20 something years, I feel sorry for you. I someone grew up in Islam, and I grew up as an imam, as Jamie was mentioning, and it's very interesting for me. I feel sorry for you again that you are trying to defend something that is cannot be defended, and you seem like somebody who trying to have a list of all the actions that happening throughout history by any individual that committed any kind of violence, trying to make a justifiable kind of an argument that it is okay for this person to go and pull a gun and kill American soldiers that did nothing to him. And why we are not asking, about other people who committed any kind of violent attacks before about their own religion, because the guy himself said that he's doing this because of his name and his religion and his faith and his belief in Allah.
Well, I appreciate your concern for my soul. I think that's the reason why many times in the Quran it talks about how Christians are the closest to us in faith, that they're our brethren. So I appreciate that. Sincerely, I do. But it's not about justifying, because what this man did is horrific, taking of life of anybody. No different than Obama's drones that kill 49 out of every 50 American citizens in 7 different Islamic countries right now. No different
that's
than
not true.
No different than Bush's shock and awe in Iraq.
See,
that left a vacuum.
Again, you are resorting. I'm sorry.
That left a vacuum that created this rise in ISIS. This shock and awe, this complete disruption within the Middle East has left a power vacuum that has created the likes of these ISIS members. And to be quite frank, I talked about this in the last show, and I talk about this a lot of times. The same rhetoric that these idiots use to justify their grab for power overseas it's no different than the Klan used the Bible, or Zionists use the Torah or the Talmud to justify the things that they do wrong. See, it's not the religion that's the problem, and I think that's where a lot of you get that mistaken. It's the people who profess to practice these religions that are the problem. And if we could actually stop picking at each other about our religions and actually start talking about the people who profess to lead the religions, who profess, like the Wahhabists in Saudi, for example, then maybe we as humans could actually get along a lot better.
Well, Isa, the problem here is that nowhere in the any Christian that does something bad or violent, like somebody in ISIS, cannot point to anything in the New Testament. As we discussed the last time, there's nothing in the Old Testament that's open-ended about a non-stop general war against unbelievers. So when ISIS acts violently and refers to Islamic supremacism in the Quran and in the Hadith, this is a problem, and people are going to continue to die until we isolate this and repudiate it. Mark, go ahead.
I have no idea what you guys are arguing about, actually. The guy is a perfect jihadist who go and commit his life for the Lord so he can be saved. He has no troubling kind of childhood whatsoever, all of those kind of baloney kind of stuff, because there is no proof for anything that you guys are talking about. I have no idea what this argument is about. Is Islam is a religion of peace? It's inspiring people to commit jihad. Yes, Islam is a religion of violence, of killing, of death, that has been, you're talking about the founder of the religion, who spent the last 10 years of his life, from the age of 52 till he died when he's 63. He was involved in 97 attacks. He was marrying women more than anybody else, that I know of. And you are talking about a guy who was killing right and left. So what are you trying to argue about over here? The Islam is based on, jihad, killing, fighting. It is one of the pillars. Yes, it is not the 5 pillars of Islam, but, jihad is a very important pillar of Islam. It is the last pillar, as people quote. So what are you trying to argue over here? I don't understand.
Where do you get that? Where do you get that it's a lost pillar? There's 5 pillars of Islam. And these are all good things that even Christianity teaches. What is that? Fasting. Jesus did it for 40 days. Did he not?
First of all, it is shahada. It is not fasting.
Siyam. We have charity. We have salat. We have zakat. We have, so you look at the 5 pillars of Islam, and there's nothing in there about violence. And time again, even out of the mouth of the man you're trying to make a warmongerer, time and time again, he talked about the preservation of monasteries, to not destroy crops, that when you are attacked, that you attack to defend yourself until they desist. This is talk about time
You know,
in the
protecting
Quran.
monastery from
Islam
who?
is the Quran. Listen, you know
Protecting,
this,
excuse me,
Imam.
Isa, protecting monastery from whom?
Say what?
You say that he is calling for protecting monastery from who?
No, whenever you're attacked, you're to defend yourself.
I'm asking you, Isa. You know, I love your passion, and you're trying to defend something that cannot be defended. But let's go through this. What is Muhammad was trying to defend?
Muhammad was trying to defend the Muslims from the Meccans, the real pagans, the ones that you guys keep misquoting on purpose, the verse of the infidels. It's not talking about the people of the book.
Would you please don't go into long statements? Muhammad was defending himself from Meccans for doing what? What did the Meccans do to him that he was defending himself from? He was stealing money from them.
No, he was not stealing any money from them.
Wait, are you saying that Muhammad never engaged in stealing, Isa?
No. In fact, the taking of people's property is forbidden at the time of war. The destroying of people's property is forbidden at the time of war. There are articles of war within Sharia that prohibit the killing of innocent men and women.
Isa, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You have no idea about your own religion. If what you are saying, either you are lying to me or you don't know. Let me explain to you something about Muhammad. Let me explain to you about Muhammad. Muhammad, when he moved to Medina,
I don't need to explain anything to you about Muhammad. The problem that we're supposed to be talking about, no. The thing we're supposed to be talking about tonight, because see, I don't debate religion, okay? Because I'm not a scholar. Never pretended to be a scholar. Wait a minute.
About Christianity and Judaism.
We're talking about the action of one man today. Because if, according to what the guest from last week, even that Imam Chowdhury, I only want to use the word Imam, even Anjem Chowdhury, you guys want Muslims to be violent. And if 1.7 billion of us are violent, there would be none of you guys left.
Why this is crucial to discuss religion, Isa, you've been given a chance. It's crucial to discuss Muhammad's life because he serves as an example. Let Mark answer the question and the issue of whether he was ever engaged in thievery and stealing. Mark?
Muhammad, about his involvement of stealing, yes, you know, when he started his Islamic State and he put the first pillar of Islam, which is putting himself next to God and saying that anybody has to pledge allegiance to Allah and pledge to Muhammad, which is the first pillar of Islam, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, which putting himself next to Allah. And then he starts saying you can go and steal from people so you can provide for yourself and provide for the Islamic State. And when they were start being attacked, he justified killing in protection. And then later on, killing not for protection, but in the attack. And then when Meccans were so upset with the killing and with the stealing that's going on, they put an army together to go to teach Muhammad a lesson not to steal from them. He has nothing to do with his religion whatsoever. And then Muhammad was trying to defend himself for 3 times. You know the Bani Qurayza that you talk about? The Bani Qurayza marks the first time that Muhammad started the progressive and the progression against others for no reason other than claiming that they attempted to just, you know, do something against him. And then he started killing people from that day on, non-stop until he died, and then followed by the Rashdiyun Khalif and other Muslims, and it continued till today.
Okay, thank you, Mark. We just have a few minutes left. Isa, you can answer this if you want, why it's raised and why we're discussing religion is, of course, the argument is made by deniers that all religions are equal, and this is what we're trying to ascertain.
All religions are not equal. I left Christianity because of the fact that the Bible has been chopped up. It has been altered. It has been changed over the centuries that it's been here. I chose to become Muslim because of the fact is that no one has been able to prove the Quran to be wrong as far as contradictions within the book. No one has been able to, not Christian theologists, not Jewish theologists. In the 21 years, I still look to see if there's any contradictions within the Quran. And I don't see any. But that's my personal choice. And this is another beauty about being in America. My choice to be Muslim is my choice.
There's no contradiction in the Quran.
Isa, wait a second. This and therefore you do discuss religion. So I'm grateful that you shared with us why you converted from Christianity to Islam. 1 second. Mark, on the other hand, you went the reverse. You went from Islam to Christianity. Tell us briefly why.
Based on finding that the Quran as a book is a baloney book. It is based on no facts whatsoever, full of contradiction beyond anything else. And I want to ask you, Isa, who wrote the Quran? The Quran was written after Muhammad's death. And have you ever heard that hadith, the argument between Abu Bakr and Umar about writing the Quran? Do you know that the Quran has been put and edited multiple times? Do you know that Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, the fifth caliph, 57 years after Muhammad, who makes the Quran in Arabic and not in any other language, and he put it into the chapters and all the kind of stuff that you have?
He's asked 50 million questions. How am I supposed to answer any of them? He's making declarative statements is what he's doing. He's not actually asking any real questions.
Isa, we've got about, we've got tens of thousands of Muslim immigrants coming into the United States every year. I know that you might charge me or accuse me of making an Islamophobic statement or question, but if they're not checked out, if they're not asked whether they believe in Sharia or what their beliefs are, doesn't this concern you? What do we do as a nation to prevent people coming to this country and settling here that may end up believing in ISIS and following out what ISIS commands? Because this is what just happened. I mean, Abdul Aziz, he came from Kuwait. He came here at the age of 6, and yet he ended up doing this. So this is a danger. How do we deal with this issue?
Well, I mean, I think extremism is an issue. I mean, we have it within our faith. We have it matter of fact, in all faiths and all ideologies, there's extremism. And I think it's a problem for all of us. I think even in our police state we have in our country, we have some extremism. And in fact, there's 1,000 American citizens every year killed by police officers. But in regards to this topic here, Jamie, I think that it is something that internally must be done within the Ummah, within the community of the Muslims, number one. If we look back after 9/11, Muslims were paramount in helping police and FBI in order to identify any extremist behavior, things of this nature. Within my own community, we found one that we reported. He ended up being an FBI agent, but we reported him nonetheless, okay? Now, this is a known fact that this has happened. So I think that when we can stop dividing each other.
I commend you on that, but Muslim Brotherhood front groups in this country are telling Muslims not to cooperate with the FBI.
Al-Sisi. I mean, Muslim Brotherhood's not the problem. To be honest with you, the people that I think we should be vetting is our politicians, because they're the ones we should be vetting, to be honest with you. Not immigrants trying to get away from bombed out homes in Palestine and bombed out homes in Iraq and bombed out homes in Syria, all right? Or trying to get away from totalitarian places like Wahhabist Saudis that are trying to get here and get away from that garbage. Those people don't bother me.
Isa, thank you. Unfortunately, this is not going to protect American lives when they're snuffed out by jihadists. Mark, go ahead.
What Isa is saying is exactly why people are committing terrorism on a regular basis. The victim mentality is that America is killing people in Iraq and Afghanistan and occupying and all the kind of things, and we are in defense and all that kind of stuff. This is exactly what everybody is saying. So you are not coming with a new argument. You are saying exactly the same things. You are trying to come over here and to lure everybody into that Islam is a religion of peace and has nothing to do with the extremists. And I'm going to tell you what. To be an extreme Muslim is to be exactly like Muhammad. To be an extreme Christian is to be exactly like Jesus. Do you choose Jesus or Muhammad, and which one you want to follow?
All of them, from Adam to Muhammad.
Gentlemen, our time is up. If you feel that you've been treated unfairly or not given a chance to speak, I'll bring you back on the Glazov gang. I am so grateful to the both of you for coming on, sharing your views.
I will pray for you, Isa, regularly.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Isa, Hodge, Mark Christian, thank you so much for joining the Glazov gang, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Glazov gang. Good night.